The scene unfolded under the harsh fluorescent lights of Gate C-14. Travelers rushed past, their rolling suitcases a blur of hurried motion. But here, near the gate's entrance, time seemed to slow. A solemn group stood, clad in crisp, dark uniforms. They were an honor guard escorting the remains of Sergeant Major Williams, a soldier who had given his life in service. His flag-draped casket was a stark reminder of sacrifice amidst the mundane bustle of air travel. The honor guard moved with precision, each step measured, each movement imbued with respect. Leading the way was Captain Reynolds, his face etched with a mixture of grief and determination. He carried himself ramrod straight, a symbol of unwavering resolve. Behind him, the team carefully wheeled the casket, their eyes fixed ahead. They were so close to getting Sergeant Major Williams home. Suddenly, a figure stepped forward, holding up a hand. It was a woman in an airport security uniform, her expression unreadable. "Please stop," she said, her voice firm but polite. The honor guard paused, their movements halting as if hitting an invisible wall. Confusion rippled through their ranks. Why were they being stopped? Everything was in order. All the paperwork was complete. What could possibly be the problem? Captain Reynolds approached the security officer, his brow furrowed. "Officer, is there an issue? We have clearance to proceed." The air crackled with unspoken questions. The surrounding travelers, initially oblivious, began to notice the unusual delay, their curiosity piqued by the somber scene unfolding before them. Something was definitely wrong. The security officer remained impassive. "I understand you have clearance, Captain," she said, her voice still even, "but I have received instructions to temporarily halt your procession." She gestured slightly to another officer standing nearby, who held a clipboard. Captain Reynolds' frustration grew. Instructions from whom? And for what reason? "Sergeant Major Williams' family is waiting." He kept his voice respectful, but a steely edge crept in. Time was precious, and every moment of delay added to the family's pain. He glanced back at his team, their faces mirroring his own confusion and concern. The security officer hesitated for a moment, then said, "I am not at liberty to disclose the specific reason at this time. However, I can assure you that it is a matter of protocol." Protocol? What protocol could possibly supersede the solemn duty of escorting a fallen hero home? Captain Reynolds struggled to maintain his composure. "With all due respect, officer, this protocol is causing undue distress to the family of a man who made the ultimate sacrifice. I must insist on knowing the reason for this delay." The other members of the honor guard stood silently, their eyes fixed on the exchange. They were trained to follow orders, but their loyalty to their fallen comrade burned fiercely. They too deserved an explanation. The tension in the air thickened, palpable even to the casual observer. The crowd of travelers had grown larger, their hushed whispers adding to the sense of unease. Everyone was wondering what was going on and why these brave men and women were being held up. Captain Reynolds took a deep breath, striving for patience. "Officer, I understand you're following orders, but I need to speak to someone who can provide a clearer explanation. Is there a supervisor I can talk to?" He knew he had to remain calm, but the bureaucratic wall was infuriating. Every second felt like a betrayal of the solemn promise they'd made to Sergeant Major Williams and his family. The security officer nodded curtly. "I will contact my supervisor. Please wait here." She spoke into her radio, her voice low and professional. A few tense minutes ticked by, the silence broken only by the distant hum of the airport and the shuffling of feet. The crowd continued to grow, their faces a mixture of curiosity and concern. Some began to whisper among themselves, speculating about the reason for the holdup. Finally, a man in a crisp white shirt and an airport badge approached. He introduced himself as Mr. Davis, the airport's terminal manager. "Captain Reynolds, I understand there's been a delay," he said, his tone conciliatory. "I apologize for any inconvenience this may be causing." Captain Reynolds fixed him with a steady gaze. "Inconvenience is an understatement, Mr. Davis. We are escorting the remains of Sergeant Major Williams, a fallen hero. His family is waiting, and we are being held up for reasons that have yet to be explained." He hoped that appealing to Mr. Davis's sense of respect and patriotism would break through the red tape. The honor guard stood at attention, unwavering in their silent protest. The weight of their mission pressed heavily on them all. Something had to give. Meanwhile, just outside the airport terminal, the Williams family waited anxiously. Sergeant Major Williams' widow, Sarah, sat clutching a worn photograph of her husband, her eyes red-rimmed. Their two children, 8-year-old Emily and 10-year-old Michael, fidgeted beside her, their faces etched with a mixture of grief and confusion. They didn't understand why Daddy wasn't home yet. "Mommy, when is Daddy coming?" Emily asked, her voice small and trembling. Sarah squeezed her daughter's hand. Soon, sweetheart? Soon. But her voice lacked conviction. The airline had called an hour ago to say the flight had landed and the honor guard would be arriving shortly. But there was no sign of them. Sarah's brother, David, paced nervously nearby, his phone pressed to his ear. He had been calling the airline repeatedly, but all he got was vague assurances that there had been a slight delay. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. He knew how important it was for the honor guard to be there to provide the proper respect and dignity to Sergeant Major Williams' final journey home. The uncertainty was agonizing. He ended another fruitless call, his frustration mounting. He looked at Sarah, her face etched with worry, and his heart ached for her and the children. They had already suffered so much. This delay was just adding to their pain. He vowed to find out what was happening and to get Sergeant Major Williams home to his family as quickly as possible. The wait was unbearable. Back at Gate C-14, Captain Reynolds pressed Mr. Davis for answers. Mr. Davis, with all due respect, protocol is not a sufficient explanation. I need to know exactly why we are being delayed. The family of Sergeant Major Williams deserves to know. My men deserve to know. What's going on? Mr. Davis sighed, running a hand through his hair. He glanced nervously at the growing crowd of onlookers. He knew this situation was escalating quickly and he needed to handle it carefully. Captain, I understand your frustration. The reason for the delay is sensitive. I need to verify some information before I can disclose it to you. Verify what information? Captain Reynolds demanded, his patience wearing thin. Are you questioning the legitimacy of our mission? Are you questioning the sacrifice of Sergeant Major Williams? Mr. Davis held up his hands in a gesture of appeasement. No, Captain, nothing like that. It's about the flag. The flag? Captain Reynolds echoed, his brow furrowed in confusion. What about the flag? Just then, one of the members of the honor guard, Sergeant Miller, stepped forward. Captain, he said, his voice low. I noticed something earlier, but I didn't want to say anything without being sure. He hesitated, then continued. There's a small tear in the flag, near the top corner. He pointed towards the casket. All eyes turned to the American flag draped over it. The smallest imperfection was all it took. Captain Reynolds approached the casket, his heart sinking. He examined the flag carefully. There it was, a small but noticeable tear near the upper right corner. It was barely visible, but it was there. He knew that according to military protocol, a damaged flag should not be used to drape a fallen soldier's casket. It was a sign of disrespect, however unintentional. Mr. Davis stepped forward, his expression apologetic. Captain, I understand this is difficult, but we have a duty to uphold the proper respect for the flag and for Sergeant Major Williams. We cannot allow a damaged flag to be used in this manner. Captain Reynolds nodded slowly, his initial frustration giving way to understanding. He still wished they had been informed of the reason sooner, but he could appreciate the airport staff's commitment to honoring the flag. I understand, Mr. Davis. What do you propose we do? We have a new American flag available, Mr. Davis replied. We can replace the damaged one immediately. A collective sigh of relief swept through the honor guard. The solution was simple, but it was also deeply meaningful. The delay had been frustrating, but it had ultimately been motivated by a desire to show proper respect. The crowd of onlookers murmured in approval, their initial confusion replaced by a sense of shared understanding and patriotism. Even the smallest tear could be a sign of bigger problems. Mr. Davis quickly arranged for a new American flag to be brought to Gate C-14. It arrived moments later, carefully folded and pristine, its vibrant colors gleaming under the airport lights. Two members of the airport staff, their faces solemn, approached the casket with the new flag. Captain Reynolds, along with Sergeant Miller, stepped forward to assist. With deliberate and respectful movements, they carefully removed the damaged flag, ensuring it never touched the ground. The crowd watched in hushed silence, their eyes fixed on the solemn ritual. It was a moment of profound respect, a testament to the importance of honoring national symbols. The damaged flag was then meticulously folded according to protocol, each fold representing a different principle of freedom and democracy. It would be properly retired later, a dignified end to its service. With the damaged flag safely set aside, the team unfurled the new American flag, its crisp fabric snapping softly in the air. They carefully draped it over the casket, ensuring it covered Sergeant Major Williams with honor and dignity. The new flag shone brightly, a symbol of hope and resilience. The exchange was complete. The honor guard stood at attention, their faces filled with a renewed sense of purpose. The initial frustration and confusion had been replaced by a shared understanding and a deep respect for the values they were sworn to protect. The airport staff had shown that even in the midst of a busy airport there was always time for honor. The crowd applauded softly. With the new flag in place, Captain Reynolds turned to Mr. Davis, a glimmer of gratitude in his eyes. "Thank you, Mr. Davis," he said sincerely. "I appreciate you upholding the proper respect for Sergeant Major Williams and for our flag." Mr. Davis nodded, his own expression softening. "It was our honor, Captain. Sergeant Major Williams made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. The least we could do was ensure he was treated with the dignity he deserved." He paused, then added, "I hope this delay hasn't caused too much distress to his family. Please extend our deepest condolences." Captain Reynolds assured him that he would. He then turned to his team, issuing a silent command. The honor guard resumed their procession, their steps now even more purposeful, their bearing even more dignified. The new flag billowed gently in the air, a vibrant symbol of freedom and hope. As they moved through the airport terminal, the crowd parted respectfully, creating a pathway for the honor guard. Many people paused to place their hands over their hearts, their heads bowed in silent tribute. Some wiped away tears, moved by the solemnity of the occasion. The atmosphere in the airport had transformed. The initial hustle and bustle had given way to a sense of shared reverence and patriotism. Even the most hurried travelers stopped to pay their respects, acknowledging the sacrifice of Sergeant Major Williams and the importance of honoring those who serve. The airport was a place of transit, but for this moment, it was a place of remembrance. Outside the terminal, David spotted the honor guard approaching. Relief washed over him, but he also noticed something was different. The flag. It looked new, pristine. He wondered what had happened. He quickly relayed the information to Sarah, who perked up slightly at the news. Maybe, just maybe, things were finally going to be all right. As the honor guard drew closer, David gently guided Sarah and the children forward. He wanted them to be there to witness the arrival of their husband and father with the proper respect and dignity. He knew it would be a difficult moment, but it was important for them to be together to support each other. The honor guard stopped just in front of the family. Captain Reynolds stepped forward, his face etched with sympathy. He knelt down, speaking softly to Emily and Michael. "Your father was a brave man," he said. "He loved you very much. We are here to bring him home." Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but she managed a weak smile. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for bringing him home." The honor guard then carefully transferred the casket to the waiting hearse. The new flag billowed in the gentle breeze, a symbol of hope and resilience in the face of profound loss. David put his arm around Sarah, guiding her and the children towards the hearse. The final journey home had begun. The family would be together again, even in grief. The long wait was over. As the hearse pulled away from the curb, heading towards the cemetery, Sarah looked back at the airport terminal. She saw Mr. Davis standing near the entrance, his head bowed in a silent gesture of respect. She offered a small, grateful nod, acknowledging his kindness and understanding. The ride to the cemetery was quiet, filled only with the soft sobs of Sarah and the children. David tried to comfort them, but there were no words that could truly ease their pain. He knew that the days and weeks ahead would be difficult, filled with grief and adjustment, but he also knew that they would get through it together as a family. At the cemetery, a large crowd had gathered to pay their respects to Sergeant Major Williams. Friends, neighbors, and fellow soldiers stood side by side, their faces etched with sorrow. The honor guard stood at attention, their presence a symbol of unwavering support. The funeral service was simple but moving, filled with heartfelt tributes and fond memories. Sarah spoke bravely about her husband's courage, his love for his family, and his unwavering commitment to serving his country. Emily and Michael released balloons into the sky, each one carrying a message of love to their father. As the service drew to a close, the honor guard fired a 21-gun salute, the sound echoing through the cemetery. Taps played softly in the distance, a haunting melody that spoke of sacrifice and remembrance. Sergeant Major Williams was finally at peace. The love was strong. In the days that followed, the story of what happened at the airport spread quickly. News outlets picked up the story, highlighting the airport staff's dedication to honoring fallen soldiers and respecting national symbols. Mr. Davis and the security officer who initially stopped the procession were praised for their commitment to protocol and their sensitivity to the situation. Captain Reynolds and the members of the Honor Guard were also recognized for their professionalism and unwavering dedication to their mission. Sergeant Miller, in particular, was commended for his attention to detail and his willingness to speak up when he noticed the tear in the flag. The Williams family received an outpouring of support from the community. Donations poured in to help them with their expenses, and volunteers offered to assist with everything from childcare to household chores. Sarah was deeply touched by the kindness and generosity of strangers. The damaged American flag was carefully retired in a solemn ceremony, its journey complete. It had served its purpose, even in its imperfection, reminding everyone of the importance of honoring those who serve and protecting the values they represent. The incident at the airport served as a powerful reminder that even in the midst of our busy lives, it is important to take time to honor our heroes and respect our national symbols. The smallest act of respect can make a big difference in the lives of those who have sacrificed so much for our freedom. It showed that a little respect goes a long way. Beyond the news stories and community support, the incident at the airport had a profound personal impact on many individuals. Mr. Davis, for example, received numerous letters and emails thanking him for his actions. He realized that even seemingly small acts of respect could have a ripple effect, inspiring others to be more mindful of the values they hold dear. The security officer who initially stopped the procession also received recognition for her professionalism and dedication to duty. She admitted that she had initially been nervous about approaching the honor guard, but she knew that she had a responsibility to uphold the proper protocol. She was grateful that the situation had been resolved peacefully and respectfully. Captain Reynolds and the members of the Honor Guard were deeply moved by the outpouring of support they received. They knew that they were simply doing their job, but they were honored to be recognized for their service. They hoped that their actions had helped to bring some comfort to the Williams family. Even the travelers who witnessed the incident were affected by what they had seen. Many of them shared their stories on social media, expressing their gratitude for the sacrifices of fallen soldiers and their appreciation for the importance of respecting national symbols. The experience had reminded them of the values that unite us as a nation. It was a good thing for everyone. Sarah often visited Sergeant Major Williams' gravesite, bringing flowers and sharing stories with her children. She wanted them to remember their father not just as a soldier, but as a loving husband and father. She told them about his sense of humor, his kindness, and his unwavering love for his family. One day, Sarah received a letter from a young man who had been at the airport the day the honor guard was stopped. He wrote about how the incident had inspired him to join the military. He said that he had always been interested in serving his country, but he had never felt a strong sense of purpose until he witnessed the respect and honor shown to Sergeant Major Williams. Sarah was deeply moved by the letter. She realized that her husband's legacy extended far beyond his family and friends. He had touched the lives of strangers, inspiring them to be better citizens and to serve their country with pride. The story of the airport incident continued to be shared and retold, becoming a symbol of unity, respect, and remembrance. It served as a reminder that even in the face of tragedy, there is always hope, and that even the smallest acts of kindness can make a big difference in the world. The impact was long-lasting. The story became one that people told to each other. Years later, Emily and Michael Williams followed in their father's footsteps, joining the military. They wanted to honor his memory and to serve their country with the same courage and dedication that he had shown. Sarah was proud of their decision, even though it filled her with a mixture of pride and fear. Before they left for basic training, Sarah took them back to the airport. They stood near Gate C-14, the place where they had waited so anxiously for their father to come home. Sarah told them the story of what had happened that day, emphasizing the importance of respecting the flag and honoring those who serve. Emily and Michael listened intently, their eyes filled with a sense of purpose. They understood that their father's sacrifice had paved the way for their own service. They vowed to live up to his legacy and to make him proud. As they walked away from the gate, hand in hand, Sarah looked up at the sky. She knew that Sergeant Major Williams was watching over them, his spirit forever present in their lives. His memory lived on, not just in their hearts, but in the hearts of everyone who had been touched by his story. He was still making a difference in the world even though he was gone. And his children will never forget that. And so, the story of the airport incident became a part of the fabric of the community, a reminder of the importance of honoring those who serve and respecting the symbols that unite us. It was a story that was told and retold, passed down from generation to generation. But the most important legacy of Sergeant Major Williams was not the story itself, but the values that it represented: courage, sacrifice, love, and respect. These were the values that he lived by, and these were the values that he instilled in his children. And these were the values that would continue to inspire others for years to come. The airport staff did what they had to do to honor that sacrifice. It was what anyone would have done. The end. The damaged flag, carefully folded and treated with the utmost respect, began its own journey. It wasn't simply discarded. Instead, it was sent to a local veterans organization known for its solemn flag retirement ceremonies. These ceremonies, steeped in tradition and reverence, are a way to honor the flag's service to the nation. Weeks later, Sarah and her children received an invitation to attend one such ceremony. It was held on a quiet evening, under a sky ablaze with the colors of sunset. A small group of veterans, their faces etched with the memories of their own service, gathered around a crackling bonfire. The damaged flag, now a symbol of both loss and respect, was carefully presented. A veteran spoke of its history, its representation of freedom, and the sacrifices made to protect it. With deliberate movements, the flag was then placed into the flames. As the fire consumed the flag, Sarah and her children stood silently, their hearts filled with a mixture of sadness and gratitude. They knew that their father's spirit was forever intertwined with the flag, and that his memory would live on in the hearts of all who honored its service. It was a beautiful thing to see. It was a perfect send-off. The flames danced and crackled, sending sparks into the night sky. The damaged flag was gone, but its story would continue to be told, inspiring generations to come. The end.